Unit 6 asks you to create a budget using Microsoft Excel 2010. There are two parts to this assignment. In the first part, you will be designing your budget and adding all the relevant data. In part 2 of this assignment, you will be adding the formulas and functions to analyze your budget. So let's go ahead and get started. First of all, make sure you have Excel 2010 open, and then we're going to start in cell B1 right here and add the 12 months of the year, January through December. So we just start typing in January. I'll abbreviate it. I press my tab key to move over to cell C1, type in February. And then a little trick that Excel has is that it can replicate patterns for you. So I'm going to highlight these two cells. I'm going to grab the fill handle right here at the bottom right hand corner and drag it across all the way till December. So now I have January through December here. And you can format these and center them in the rows there. And later on we'll apply styles to this. So we started in cell B1 because later on in the directions in cell A1 you'll add the date. So we're leaving cell A1 blank. You start in cell B1 to add the months. The next thing you want to do is create the monthly income for each of the months. So what we're going to do here in row 3 is we're going to determine how much a person makes a month. So we'll just say this is Tom's income. And you notice that the Tom's income spilled over until in column B here, so I can just double click between A and B to widen column A to handle that much data here. So that's Tom's income. It fits nicely into cell A3 now. So here we can just start putting in his income, and we can put it all the way across. Let's just say he makes $3,000 per month. And so I can just click on that fill handle and drag all the way across, and he makes $3,000 a month. And again, if you want, you can center that if you like. Now we will make sure the labels of the row here are currency and 2 decimal places, which includes a dollar sign. By default, you notice that the number here is set up as a general number. We want to change that to currency. So just simply open up the drop-down list here and select currency. It will automatically add the dollar sign in the 2 decimal places that's required in the instructions. You can do that real easily by highlighting all of these at once and selecting currency as well. The next thing we're going to do is create and format a row for all of our expenses. But we're not going to format those to currency. And for the expenses, you're going to create a whole year's worth of history by month. And you'll use different values for every month. So for example, if you have electricity down, you'll have different values every month for electricity. So we're going to come down here and we'll make this monthly expenses. We'll widen that column again. Now up here, let's go ahead and type in monthly income. And you can bold those and so that they sort of stand out if you'd like. And underneath here then, we're going to add our expenses. And it's good to have at least 8 to 12 expenses because that will really help in next week's assignment when you create a chart for this. So we'll just start with electric. If I can spell this right. And maybe water, telephone, and so on. We'll add more here in just a little bit. But then we're going to add a year's worth of expenses. So it could be like $190 for January, $210 for February, and so on. And so we're going to do that, add at least 8 to 10 expenses, and have all the monthly expenses here as well. So let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so we've got our monthly expenses. I've got several of them here, and then I've added all the different amounts for every month. So the only thing we have left to do for this first part is add a style to the budget. Now there's several different ways you can do this. You can select the entire budget here just by highlighting it, and here's the different styles. So you can have different cell styles, table styles. It's up to you how you want this to look. You can just change it to any of these styles here. I'll leave that up to you. You can pick any one you want. It doesn't really matter. So that's how you would apply a style. So for example, if I wanted this style here, I would click on it, and I said, where's the different table? Click OK, and it applied the style here now. So I've got the style. So I'll go ahead and do that real quick. Okay, so now I've applied a style to this. And I've added a few more columns because this is what we'll be doing for part 2, is we'll be using formulas and functions to analyze all of the data that we have in our budget. So part 2 starts out having you create a formula or using the AutoSum function to have Excel calculate the total expenses for each month. So we want to know how much Tom spends every month and how much he brings in every month. So remember, he makes $3,000 a month. And we did this. I'm going to do this again so you can see how I did that. I typed in 3,000. I'm going to change this to currency. And use the fill handle here, the very bottom right hand corner, and drag all the way across. So now we can see Tom makes $3,000 a month. So let's find out how much he spends every month on all his bills. And that's all of these amounts right here, from electricity all the way down to medical. And we want that amount to show up right here in cell B17. So there's two ways of doing this. One, you can type in the formula yourself, or this other way is you can use the AutoSum feature. I'll show you both. So first, if we type in, use the equal sign here, the equal sign tells Excel that it's going to do the math for you. So it's telling Excel that there's a formula that will follow. We're going to type in the word sum because that means add, and open a parentheses, and then we're going to grab, by using our mouse, from cell B5 all the way down to B16. Grab all that there. You see those little dancing ants around this area, and we'll close it by using the close parentheses. I'll press the enter key on my keyboard, and that's $3,027. Once again, we can change that to currency. So we know he spends $3,027 a month there. So we're going to have a deficit here. So let's increase his amount that he makes every month, for our example here, to $3,500. And we'll just pull this all the way across. All right. So we're going to do that for the rest of them. We can do this. We can use the AutoSum feature also. If I just click in the cell down here where I want the amount for February to show up, I can just click right here, and I can click on the AutoSum feature right here. That's the AutoSum function, and just hit my enter key, and then format it to currency. So those are the two ways you can enter this. Now you can do it all at once by just highlighting these cells underneath here and select AutoSum, and then change it to currency. We'll do the same thing over here for the expenses. We'll see how much he spends in electricity every year. These down here is how much he spent every month. Now we want to find out how much he spends every year. And so I'll use the AutoSum feature, hit my enter key, and format it to currency. And then we'll do the rest of the rows. Okay, so those are done. Next thing we'll want to do is let's find out how much Tom makes a year. And easily, again, we'll just use the AutoSum feature. Hit the enter key. Makes $42,000 a year. Let me bold that so it sort of stands out. If you ever see these hash marks here, that just means there's too much data in the column. You need to widen the column a little bit. So you can just double click between the columns, and it increases the width of the column. Now we're going to do the same thing down here to find out how much he spends per month or per year on his expenses. So we'll just do auto sum, hit enter. So he spends $36,807 a year, but he makes $42,000. So he's okay. He still has some money left over. Okay, we're still in part 2 of this. The next thing we want to do is we want to determine the percentage. What percent of Tom's income does he spend on electricity every single year? Well, we know he makes $42,000 a year, and he spends $2,324,000 a year on electricity. So what does that equate to as a percentage? So let's figure that out. It's the basic division. So we'll use the equal sign, telling Excel that it's going to do the math for us. There's a formula following. And what we're going to do is there's a great thing that Excel does for us. It tells us whether we're right or wrong and helps us through building our formulas. So for a percentage, if you think back a little ways, it's either the largest number over the smallest or the smallest over the largest number will get you a percentage. And if you make a mistake, that's okay. Excel will show you that. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's say we want the largest number, which is 42,000. So I just clicked in cell 42,000, and it put the cell address of N33 there. I use the division symbol, which is the /, and I take the smaller number, which is 2,324. I just clicked inside of that cell, and that automatically put that cell address in there for me. Now if I hit enter, it gives me 18.07222, a decimal amount. That's okay, that's what it's supposed to come out to, but if you want to change it to percentage, you would click the percent up here. And that comes out to 1,807%. Well, that's a large percent. So Excel's telling you that that's probably the incorrect math function. So what you can do, go back in here, and this time let's divide the smaller by the larger. So we'll just do N5 divided by N3. Oops. And see how that comes out. That's a little bit better, 6%. So you see how Excel can show you that, yeah, there's 1,000%. You really can't spend over 1,000% of your income. So we got the percentage in there now. We can go ahead and center that. And you want to do that for the rest of these as well. Here's a little trick. If I double click on here and open up that percentage again, we always want it to look in cell N3. Always divide by whatever in cell N3. So we want it to make this an absolute cell reference. So I'm going to put a $sign in front of the N and a $sign in front of the 3. And what that will do is anchor it. It'll tell Excel to always look in cell N3 no matter what's ever in that cell. So let me hit my enter key. And now I can just click the fill handle and drag it down. And it fills in the percentages. Okay, we're almost done. The last things we got to do is we got to set up the minimum, the maximum, and the average. Let me spell that correctly. The average amounts. So we want to know the smallest amount in this group of numbers. We want to find out what the largest amount is and what the average amount of money he spent every month. So the largest amount that he spent, the smallest amount that he spent, and the average amount that he spent. To do that, again, we're going to put in a function. We're going to put in the equal sign, and then we'll just type in MIN, open the parentheses, grab all these numbers by highlighting and dragging down, and closing the parentheses. And we'll do the same thing for this one. It's an equal, this time is max, because we want the maximum. And grab these numbers again, close the parentheses, and we'll do the same thing for average. This time you have to spell out the word average. Open the parentheses, grab the numbers again, close the parentheses, hit enter. And then we just format those as currency. And then we want to do that same thing all the way across here. And one way we can do that is highlight these 3 and grab that fill handle and drag it all the way across. So now you got all the minimum, the maximum, and average amounts. And then rename your worksheet to budget details. See the tab right here? If you right click on this, select rename, you can type in budget detail. And hit enter, and now you have that. So now that's it for this week. Those are the two parts. In the following unit, Unit 7, you'll be creating a pie chart. If you have any questions about this, contact your instructor. One step that was left out of the recording was to, in cell A1 here, you were to have added your date, the current date. To show the current date every time the worksheet's opened. And so that function is simply the equal sign and type in today, open the parentheses and close the parentheses. And what that does, it brings back the current date. So anytime that you save the spreadsheet and reopen it, the new date will appear there. And again, that is the equal today, open parentheses, close parentheses function.